Hey, this is Jen, and for the following video, I'm going to go over a corrective exercise strategy for lordosis or lower back pain. To begin, it's not going to be uncommon that we come across clients that are going to have low back pain, and it's also very essential that we take it seriously because LPHC dysfunctions can often lead to other areas of the body that are going to begin to dysfunction. So the first thing that we're going to start with is inhibiting and lengthening the tight muscles, or the muscles that have tension. So beginning with SMR, or self-myofascial release, we're going to begin by stretching out that hip flexor complex, or inhibiting that hip flexor complex. So we're going to place that foam roller just underneath, just by the quads area, and we're going to start at the knee, and we're going to move our way up until they find a point of tension. It's really important that she stays neutral, so she keeps propped up on her elbows. Secondly, we're gonna stretch out that gastrocnemius. So we're gonna put that ball or foam roller underneath. We're gonna hold on that point of tension for 30 seconds. As the trainer, we can add some tension by placing our body weight on it. So the last SMR technique that we're going to do is for the latissimus dorsi. This one is essential that we find that point of tension just because often this will be associated with low back pain because of the point of insertion. If that lat is tight, what it's going to do is it's going to turn that pelvis in an anterior position so that there's actually that anterior tilt happening, which is often what lordosis is, or what low back pain is. So this guy is going to be very key in helping aid in that recovery. Make note that these self-myofascial release techniques would then be replicated at the end of the workout for a sort of cool down. We're now going to lengthen, and this is going to be static stretching, which we're going to hold for 30 seconds. So the first one we're going to do is for that hip flexor complex. We're going to place the client in a lunge position while opening that torso just slightly. You want to keep that pelvic position fairly neutral. The client is then going to reach overhead. Secondly, we're going to stretch out that erector spinae. We're going to have the client lie down, face down, reaching their arms forward and pushing their hips backwards. This one often feels very good on the clients, and they'll often not want to leave this position. Lastly, we're going to stretch out that gastrocnemius, or that soleus, and what we're going to do is we're going to come against the wall. This is a little bit different. If we find that this one isn't effective, we can actually put their foot up against that wall. But what you're going to do is you're just going to have that client go in a bit of a lunge position, and they're going to straighten that back leg and bend that front leg forward, and they can hold onto a wall for support. The next portion of the corrective exercise strategy is going to be active isolated strengthening, and this is going to really wake up those muscles that are weak and that haven't been doing their job so that we can correct that. So the next portion of the corrective exercise strategy is going to be active isolated strengthening. This is really going to wake up those muscles that have been weak or that haven't been doing their job. So the first thing that we're going to do is for the gluteus maximus. Normally we'd like to use a cable, but in this case I'm using my own hand, and so it looks a lot more like a neuromuscular stretch or like positional isometrics. But normally, if it wasn't in this situation, we'd like to use a cable of some sort. So what we're going to have that client do is they're going to keep their pelvis nice and neutral. They're going to think about extending that back foot while keeping the knee straight and really squeezing from those glutes and allowing that movement to come from that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to strengthen that hamstring complex, and this is going to be really essential because it's going to start to balance out that quad position and that pelvis position. So by strengthening the hamstrings, we're actually lengthening those quads, and as a result, that pelvis isn't going to tilt in such a severe way in an anterior direction. So this is really going to be crucial that we activate these muscles. Last thing we're going to strengthen, which is going to be really important because this is essential in keeping that low back pain from coming about, because what we're going to do is we're going to work on that the intrinsic core stabilizers. Why I say this is so important is those intrinsic core stabilizers are basically what surround that spine and thus keep it from being unstable. And so as a result, if those are weak, then we obviously have a lower weak back, and so we want to work on strengthening that. Lastly, and most importantly, we're going to integrate dynamic movement. And this is important because it takes everything that we've worked on before and it's going to allow it to work in a synchronized manner. So the exercise that we're going to do is going to be a ball squat to an overhead press. We're going to place the ball in the center of the back while they're squatting in neutral position of the knees and ankles. And the dumbbell should be held at shoulder position. We want those palms to face forward. And while they squat, they're going to press those dumbbells upward so that eventually those palms are actually facing outward. So they're going to have a bit of rotation in that shoulder, which is actually just going to trigger more of the shoulder in itself. And it's just important that they have proper movement mechanics and they're making it nice, slow, and controlled.